Howdy, howdy. Welcome on in to the pre-show before the free show.
It's the recurring character on Texas football today, Hat Ashley.
Listen.
It's Hat Pickle.
I have a hat on.
Hello, Hat Pickle.
Hi, it's branded.
I haven't seen you in a minute.
It's company branded. I could just stay like this the whole time. What a promo that is. You don't have to see all this mess going on. You can see the glory of Dave Campbell's.
What's up with the hat today?
Ish and I are headed.
Yeah, look at you. You got the Dave Campbell's hat, got the Dave Campbell's polo, you've got the Bally jacket. You are a company woman.
We stay repping the brand.
You are a company woman. Wow.
Ish and I are headed out to Wichita Falls after WTF today because we're going to Hershey hosting Brock. We're super excited for that, but there's rain in the forecast literally all day out there. So I decided that it was going to be Hat Pickle Day because it says, according to the forecast when I looked this morning, that the rain is supposed to stop at 7, which is beautiful because that's when kickoff is. But it's going to be gross. It's kind of nasty outside. I need to, I haven't really washed my hair because I'm waiting to do it for the show tomorrow. So it's a whole long process. Being a girl is really hard because you have to plan. Being a blonde girl is especially hard because you have to plan when you can wash your hair. You have to think about this from the get-go of the week because you cannot wash it every single day.
I'm sorry. I blocked out. Well, that seems like a lot. Like a lot of work.
It is. It's a ton of work.
You know what's way easier? Let me just speak from experience. You know what's way easier?
What?
Being a slob.
Yeah. Like, I can't use like 3-in-1 and just wash my hair every day and not think about it.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that
Get
way.
some of that. Got good stuff that's like $3 for like the giant like pump thing.
Yeah.
That like just all over. I can do it all the time.
No.
Sometimes I shower twice in a day. You ever consider that?
No, there is a lot of work that goes into this. It's really dumb.
Sometimes I shower twice a day. Sometimes I shower just for fun. Sometimes I just feel like showering.
I wish I could wear hats more often. Like now in the season, I
What's
feel I
up
have
with-
I have enough of an excuse to wear one.
But
I love hats.
Hats are now like officially a day. Like our staff is a hat staff because think about it. There's Step.
Yeah.
That's his calling card. It's
Yes.
the backwards hat. People don't see him, but Will Wilkerson, our digital director, wears a hat 90% of days into the office.
Yep.
Right? Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
And
Which
now
is really
your
cool.
hat pickle.
I've always done hats. Like I don't get to wear them at the office because I feel like I don't know. When I wear a hat, it's a ball cap, and I just feel like that's not super like smiled upon like on a random Wednesday or a Monday to walk in a ball cap per se.
So you got to fight the patriarchy here.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I'm just gonna start doing it until someone tells me that I can't.
I think that's absolutely the right move. I think that's what you do. I think you got to just
see if they say something.
act like you know what you're doing and be like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, no, what are you talking about? Like gaslight people. Be like, I always worn a hat.
Yeah, I wear one
Like,
every Monday to the staff meetings.
Y'all
have never noticed? Obviously, I'm important to this company.
Wow. Yeah.
Thanks.
Wow. Thanks for noticing my headwear, guys.
Yeah.
And then like turn it on them.
Yep.
We probably shouldn't be giving this plan out on the air.
It's not like anyone from our office is listening to this
That's a
right
great
now.
point.
If someone is listening to this, come knock on the glass window.
Yes.
If anyone is listening to
If
this show
anybody
right
is
now,
watching this show from the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Studio, come knock on our window and I will give you how much money do I have in my wallet? $0.
I know I have some cash. I'll
you have,
give
like,
you
a dollar?
$1.
Do you have $1?
Yeah.
Okay. If there's a Dave Campbell's Texas Football staffer watching the show right now, the first one to knock on the window gets $1.
No one's gonna knock on the window.
Nobody text any one of the other number. Okay. Something like that. They're giving away money. All right, hit the Paymax phone. Pickle! Hit the error sign. Are we good? Oh my gosh, you just blasted my ears off.
Oh, you know what that was?
No.
We have the wireless mics plugged in, but they're not turned on.
Ah.
Holy cow.
Yes, y'all. From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Disaster Area in beautiful Lewisville, Texas. It's Texas Football Today, a show that I swear
Has
we've
bloody
done
ears.
for like 7 years. Like, I promise you. This isn't our first show. My name's Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine, TexasFootball.com, corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live, TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all of the places, or listen to us in the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local mediocre internet show. I am sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. She is the Duchess of the Dorks. She is Ashley Pickle.
Hi, friends.
Hi, Ashley Pickle.
Happy game day.
Happy game day indeed. Today is Thursday, September 1st.
Whoa.
It's a new month.
Do you consider this like fall time now? Like, do you consider no? Are you like equinox person? Like on September 21st, will
It's
you
not,
say
I
it's
won't
the
consider
autumn?
no, autumnal equinox.
Autumnal.
Autumnal. Autumnal is a haughty word.
Autumnal.
That's a haughty word.
Oh, we're going
Whoever
to the
came-
autumnal equinox.
Yeah,
party.
whoever named like that, that's a haughty person.
Yeah.
Oh, autumnal. Nah, it's fall.
Yeah, I love that
Like,
someone
we're
else
like,
swooped
whatever.
in and was like, now we're
Nah.
going to call
No,
that crap
no,
fall.
No, you know what? You know what them leaves do?
They fall.
They fall. That's what we're calling.
We're going to
calling
call
fall.
it autumnal sounds like
Autumnal
dumb.
sounds well fancy pants city boy. We're gonna call it fall.
Call it what it is.
84 days till Thanksgiving. To answer your question, I don't think it's fall until it gets cold.
Okay. So you don't think it's fall till November
Halloween.
20th.
Halloween. Happy birthday.
I always think start of football season, like NFL football season.
Happy birthday to Zendaya.
Zendaya. You don't know who Zendaya is?
I've never said her name.
God.
Okay,
That's not cool.
I don't, like...
This is someone you should know who it is. One, she's gorgeous. Two,
Okay.
she's incredibly talented.
I don't...
I probably should have put that in the other order, but regardless.
What is...
1A, 1B.
What's she do?
She's an actress. She's a singer. She's fantastic. Really, genuinely fantastic.
Have I heard her music?
Probably. She's more known for being an actress than she is a singer, but she also has some pipes on her.
What's she in?
She's in the new Spider-Man. That's how her and Tom Holland are dating.
Who's Tom Holland?
Oh, Lord.
Episode 1448. On today's show, folks, it's Giant Thursday.
Yeah.
Big Thursday. Big Thursday.
Hashtag Big Thursday.
Hashtag Big Thursday. A lot to get to. We've got our top 10 games of the week to watch. Then we're going to be joined by the head coach of the Centerville Tigers, Coach Kyle Hardee, the number 4 team in 2A Division 1. Huge game this week against Crawford. We will talk with Coach Hardee coming up here in a moment. Back half of the show, the picks, my high school football predictions for week 2 of the Texas high school season. And then we round it all out with Craven Bets, a conversation with our financial advisor, Mike Craven. Do we have first 4 through the door?
We sure do. It was Rob Hadaway, Josh Windham. I'm keeping it up. I'm not going to change it.
Windham.
03 bodied step side and just chat. Welcome in, fellas.
This is one of those shows that someone's like, I like high school football. I heard there's a show every day. And they're just like, they spent 3 minutes discussing who Zendaya is. And is it Zendaya?
Yes, good job.
Okay.
See, you learn something new every
I
day.
learned
I'm
Zendaya.
here to help you.
Sure. Happy birthday, Zendaya.
My ear still hurts.
Anyway. Pickle, week 2 of the Texas high school football season is upon us. 728 games scattered hither, scattered yon, scattered every which way. And, of course, we're going to cover all of them at TexasFootball.com. If you go to TexasFootball.com, we've got computer projections of every Texas high school football game this week, with the exception of, I should mention this, because somebody reached out to me about this.
Mm-hmm.
If you are, we have computer projections of every Texas high school ball game, but if you're playing an out-of-state team, the computer's never heard of them.
Yes.
It's like, I don't know her.
Yeah.
I don't know her. So, like if you play them, or if you're, or like you see sometimes with 6-man teams, they'll play like a JV team.
Yep.
Like the computer doesn't
not
know them
in
either.
there.
So, I think there's still like 715 games that are projected.
Yeah,
because
anyway. Which team is playing? Someone's playing a team from Mexico this week. There's a couple of El Paso teams playing New Mexico teams.
Yes.
So it's more common in the week 2, week 3 than anything.
Oh yeah. And so, all those games, 728 of them scattered across the state, they're not all created equal. There's some high school football games that are, they're happening.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's just the real cream of the crop up at the very top. And we hear this all the time from people. Hey, Tepper, I want to go to a football game this weekend. Hey, Pickle, what's the best game this weekend? My mom actually asked me that last week.
Let's go.
She asked me, she's like, what's the best game this week?
And she was listening to ROF. Like, she's in.
So that's what we're here to do. We're here to tell you the 10 best Texas high school football games in week 2. Let's throw it up here. The top 10 games in week 2 of the Texas high school football season. We'll start in the middle, 7:30 p.m. Friday night at Bearcat Stadium in Alto. It is the Alto Bearcats welcoming in the Denton Geyer Wildcats. Jackson Arnold going toe-to-toe with the Alto Bearcats. Geyer looked fantastic in their week 1 win over Rockwall Heath. Going up against Alto, who lost their opener to Parish Episcopal. Now, I looked this up. And I know you know the answer to this because I told you this before the show, but pretend that you don't.
Okay.
Hey, Pickle, do you know the last time Alto was 0-2?
Let me rack my brain. We're going back in the way back machine. I believe it was 1991.
That's right. Alto has not started a season 0-1 since 0-2 rather since 1991.
You were 5 years old?
I was 5 years old. There's a real chance that happens. In fact, if it doesn't happen, I'd consider it to be a mild upset.
Oh, yeah. I mean, from classification alone.
Yeah. 5A playing 6A. And Geyer, a top 10 team in 6A. Very interested in this matchup. What changes do we see from Alito from week to week? That game is a certified banger. We'll go top left and work our way around. 7:30 p.m. Friday night in Lucas. The Lovejoy Leopards, the number 2 team in 5A Division 2. 5A Division 2. Take on another top 5 team, I believe, in 5A Division 2. The Argyle Eagles, fresh off of their win over Melissa last week. This is a game that I think is going to be particularly interesting, a real nice challenge for both these teams. Argyle looked really good against Melissa last week. Lovejoy looked really good against College Station last week. 2 teams taking on one another. And this is, to me...
a lot of offense.
And I think there could be a lot of offense. The other thing about this, all due respect to Melissa, as a fellow 4A promotion, like in my brain, I know this is not fair, but like in my brain, it's like, oh, Argyle and Melissa playing in week 1, that's just like a 4A game.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Just because they've always been 4A teams.
Absolutely.
This is, to me, the Lovejoy is a established 5A power. This is going to be a different test.
That's how you measure yourself as to where you're at in this classification.
6 o'clock Friday night, live on TexanLive.com in Katy, Texas, at Legacy Stadium. The Itasca Eagles, the number 10 team in the 6A rankings, take on the Katy Tigers, the number 5 team in the 6A rankings. This is a huge. I think this is probably.
This is the game of the week.
I think this is my pick for game of the week.
Same.
I think this game is going to be fantastic, and for Itasca looking to hand Katy just their 3rd loss at home since.
And they've never beaten them.
Never beaten them. Yeah, this has been a team that's bedeviled them. Can they get them this year? We will find out. Tonight, 7 o'clock Thursday night in beautiful Wichita Falls, Texas, with Ishmael Johnson and Ashley Parkle on hand. It is the Brock Eagles at 0-1 taking on the Wichita Falls Hershey Huskies. Brock lost a close one, a real nip and tuck affair to Pleasant Grove last week. It ended 28-7, but that game was 7-0 at halftime. Brock, that is a real nip and tuck affair. But yeah, that this is a really tough team going up against Wichita Falls Hershey, who dominated Clint in week 1. This is a Hershey team that's got plenty of explosive playmakers. I'm excited to see what happens when Brock plays Wichita Falls Hershey. 7:30 p.m. tomorrow night in Crawford, a 2A showdown in 2A Division 1. As the Crawford Pirates at number 5 in the state welcome in the number 4 Centerville Tigers. We're going to talk with their head coach, Kyle Hardee, coming up here in just a moment about this game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring slugfest. These two teams combined to allow 6 points last week in their week 1 wins. I think this game is going to be absolutely terrific. Very excited to see this. Centerville and Crawford going on.
Quite the logo matchup there, too.
Oh, yeah.
They're the same.
Bears versus black and gold Bears.
Pirates.
Yeah. 7:30 p.m. Friday night in Malakoff for the 8th time in the last 5 years.
Yeah, that's wild, man.
The Grandview Zebras will take on the Malakoff Tigers. Grandview lost their season opener to Glenrose. Now, it's a 4A Glenrose team, so I'm not throwing dirt on them, but they need to bounce back in a big way against this Malakoff team that looked excellent in week 1 against West Rusk.
Yes.
That's one question I have is this is a Malakoff defense that does not give up a lot. Can Grandview find a way past? That game's fascinating going down in Malakoff. 7 o'clock tonight in Spring, Texas, live on TexanLive.com.
Let's go.
Battle of Unbeatens as the Fort Bend Hightower Hurricanes take on the Spring Westfield Mustangs. This is a Hightower team that looked excellent in week 1. And really start. I think they're a team that's quickly rising up the so-called charts, so to speak. They're not ranked quite yet, but they're a team that we've certainly got our eye on. That win last week, I was very impressed with, taking on perhaps maybe the most impressive team in week 1, and that was Spring Westfield, who was absolutely dominant in their win last week to open the season. Hightower beat Pearland Dawson 29-7, while Westfield got a massive win over Cy Park, hung 63 on him. PJ Hatter, their quarterback, has been fantastic. That's a huge game tonight live on TexanLive.com. 6 o'clock Friday in Jonesboro. Not just a 6-man game of the week, one of the top 10 games of the week in any classification. How about a top 3 showdown. Top 4, I should say. As the number 4 Jonesboro Eagles welcome in the number 1 Westbrook Wildcats, both winners in their opener. Westbrook looked every bit the part of that state championship contender with their big win over Happy. Jonesboro was all over Coolidge. This game, great coaching matchup. Homer Matlock going up against Eddie Gallegos. This game, we're going to learn a lot about both these teams. And we talked about this throughout the course of the last couple of weeks. 6-man football coaches, I think, are really good at self-sorting themselves. And so they found a way, they're like, all right, we're gonna go at it. We're gonna schedule a tough non-district schedule, and this is what we get.
Love that it's a 6 o'clock kick, too.
Jonesboro and Westbrook going to be excellent. 7:30 p.m. Friday night from Schertz, Texas, live on TexanLive.com. It is the Lake Travis Cavaliers visiting the Cibolo Steel Knights. We're going to talk about this more in the picks. Bo Edmondson is not expected to play right now for Lake Travis. They took it on the chin. I don't think that's the issue for Lake Travis. My issue for them is that they gave up 300 yards rushing last week.
That defense is going to be tested against a Steel team that looks like they did back in the heyday.
They looked really good.
They're big, man. They walked out on the field at the Alamo Dome, and we looked around and we were like, oh my God, Steel is they're back.
Jaden Bailey, their running back, is a name to know. Huge game here. They're in Schertz, Cibolo, that kind of area. It's as Lake Travis visits Cibolo Steel. Huge game there. And finally, 7 o'clock Thursday night in Crosby, live on TexanLive.com.
Yes.
The Fort Bend Marshall Buffaloes take on the Crosby Cougars in a game that we will find out.
Oh, everything.
Hey, Crosby. Yeah.
You good, bud?
Y'all okay? Because they got taken to the woodshed last week by CE King. I mean, they got, as I wrote on TexasFootball.com, they got dropped into an active volcano.
Yes. Last
week, 63-7. Fort Bend Marshall got a really, I think it's a solid win over Klein, over a 6A Klein team. Remember, it's a 5A Division II team over a 6A Klein team.
I can't say that was necessarily the most surprising thing in the world, but still, from a classification perspective,
14-7, real nitty-gritty. I want to see if they're able to get this offense going because the defense looked great. Offense has got to get going. So we have some questions about both these teams, but that is a game tonight live on TexanLive.com. We will learn a lot about them. There they are, your top 10 Texas high school football games this week. Of course, a lot of games on TexanLive.com, and we'll have complete coverage for you at TexasFootball.com. We are at Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at TCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbells. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbells, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Right?
Yes, that's where we're at.
Pickle, let's talk about our friends at Honda. Dave Campbell's Texas Football has partnered with the North Texas Honda dealers to honor community helpers from across North Texas. Texas is so fortunate to have so many great individuals that give back to their community in so many different ways. Thanks to the support of the North Texas Honda dealers, we have an opportunity to shine a light on a few very deserving individuals. Congratulations to Van Klein over there at Marcus High School in Flower Mound, being the recipient of the Community Helper Appreciation Award presented by North Texas Honda dealers. Thank you for being helpful in your community. For more information, visit TexasFootball.com. It is the Community Helper Award presented by our friends at the North Texas Honda dealers. Go Honda. And now a word from our friends at VRR Now.
Born and bred in Texas hits a little different, as it should. Texans love doing business with fellow Texans. VRR Now takes its Texas roots as seriously as its many partnerships with schools and universities around the state. It's also why we're so proud to promote our brand in the pages of the Texas Bible, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and on the airwaves of Texas Football Today. Driven by producing quality broadcast video, state-of-the-art audio, and LED video scoreboards at affordable prices, VRR Now makes sure to listen to your needs in its athletic department before recommending the next best steps. Building great products is our business, and it's our focus on building meaningful, long-term partnerships with our clients that sets us apart. From our 24/7, 365-day help desk, the training lab in our hometown of Red Oak, or our sports marketing business plan that puts money back in the hands of our athletic departments we support, VRR Now is built to last. Reach out to us today at info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW. Again, that's info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW.
Pickle, let's go to the hotline. and let's welcome in the head coach of the number 4 team in the 2A Division I state rankings, according to Dave Campbell's Texas Football. We're joined on the phone lines now by Coach Kyle Hardee of the Centerville Tigers. Coach, how are you?
Doing great.
How are things in beautiful Leon County?
Well, trying to push these storms back a little bit. Hope to get a JV game in tonight, but obviously need some rain also. So
yeah, it's a tough balance here because on one hand you could use the rain, but on the other hand we could use some football too.
Absolutely.
Coach, I want to ask you a little bit about last week. This was you guys go in against open your season in a big rivalry game against Buffalo and come away with a really impressive win, 35-6. I'm interested, in what do you feel like you learned about your team in last week's win?
I think more than anything, Tip, I just learned that we are who I thought we were. We're a physical ball club. We're a mature ball club. These kids, all these juniors, 5, 6 of them started for us as freshmen. And, they went to the first round that year. Last year, sophomores, we had 6 of them starting on each side of the board. And with some of these guys that are seniors now, they were juniors, and we were able to advance 4 rounds. And so, we made first game mistakes. There are certainly a lot of things we need to work on, but we are who I thought we were. We're a physical football team, a mature football team, and I think we're, every Friday night we can count on our kids getting after it.
Well, one of the guys you can count on, it seems like, is your senior running back Paxton Hancock, who was tremendous in your Week 1 win over Buffalo, 225 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. This is a guy who the numbers are really impressive, but as the guy who gets to see him every day in practice, what is it about Paxton Hancock that really sets him apart?
He's just a football player. He loves the game. He comes to practice every day. He's ready to work. I mean, what a lot of people don't know about Paxton, he was a good football player as a sophomore. He fractured his femur in the 5th game of the season, and he already had 600 or 700 yards then as a sophomore. Missed the rest of that season. Came back from that injury stronger than ever. Since last football season, he's put on about 15 pounds of good weight and dropped his 40 time also.
Talking with Kyle Hardee, the head coach of the Centerville Tigers here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation at hashtag TF Today. Coach, I want to go back in the Wayback Machine, and I'm not trying to date you here, but you are in your 18th year there at Centerville. And the first few years, kind of fits and starts getting this program kind of moving in the right direction. And then starting in 2012, you guys have rung off 6 10-win seasons in the last 10 years. I'm interested in what do you think is the biggest difference in the program that you've seen from maybe those leaner early years to what you're seeing right now, where it feels like every single year 10 wins is the bar and you either clear it or you don't?
I think you can go back farther than that. I think I've been here actually 31 years. Mm-hmm. I was raised here. I came back home. I'm one of those guys that came back home and spent his career here. And came in with Coach Bill Hunter. And, 1989, Centerville doesn't score a point for the entire season. And Coach Hunter had a big job. And, he got the turnaround started. And then Keith Gardner was here before he went on to Alto, and then I moved in. And I think more than anything, it's just the mindset of the kids. It's the buy-in. And now we're to the point that our kids expect to be successful, that they understand the work that's involved. Again, I go back to, we talked about Paxton, but he wasn't the only one. We had so many kids make great gains during this off season with their strength and their speed and everything else, but they understand that for us to keep moving forward and raising the bar, a lot of work has to go into it. So it's just buy-in from the kids. And I've been fortunate to, I've got 5 guys on my staff right now that played for us here. Oh, wow. And, they come back and they have a lot invested in this community. They want to come back. They want to be a part of this program. They were, some of the guys were, when we were trying to really get this thing rolling, they were in the program then, and they're enjoying seeing these kids and the success they're having. So, I give a lot of credit to our staff also.
So you guys are now up to number 4 in the Dave Campbell's Texas Football state rankings. How little do you care about that? Because we talk with coaches all the time. They're like, Yep, doesn't necessarily mean anything. Do your players know? Are your players aware of where they're kind of stacking up right now? That we think awful highly of them.
Well, they are aware, and obviously they take some pride in that. But I tell them what I think's the truth. That's based off last year's team, and that's what early season rankings are. It's what did you do last year? This is a brand new team. You know, they're going to have to set their own course. They're going to have to make their own mark and work to raise that bar. And so I remind them of that daily. It's nice. We feel like we have a good football team. We feel like we have a chance to have a good football team. We're certainly not there yet. It's something we're working towards, but we think we have some pieces, and I think our kids realize there's a lot of work yet to be done.
It's going down tomorrow night in Crawford, Texas, at Pirate Stadium, as the number 5 Centerville Tigers will visit or number 4 Centerville Tigers will visit the number 5 Crawford Pirates. And I'm certainly not asking you to give away your game plan here on the statewide air, but when you take a look at what you guys are going to be up against tomorrow night in this Crawford team, what do you see?
Well, you know, I think back over the years, Crawford's a program we've looked at a lot. You know, we've competed with them in a lot of different sports. We know what's in their DNA, and it's championships. They win whatever the sport is across the board. Coach Jacobs and them do such a great job over there. They're a disciplined team. I think people don't realize how much speed they really have. I mean, it's maybe they have deceiving speed. I don't know, but I mean, they got some kids that can really roll. They're not going to make a lot of mistakes. They're going to be physical. They're a lot of what we try to be. I can tell you that. And you know, I look on the film. It's an early season game. You don't know how the ball's going to bounce or the mistakes that are made, but it looks to be a good matchup on film. And I know this. It'll be a matchup that'll help us be a better football team.
I think there's no doubt about that. He's Kyle Hardee. He's the head coach of the Centerville Tigers. Make sure you catch their game Friday night against the Crawford Pirates, a huge 2A showdown. Coach, really appreciate your time. Congratulations again on the win last week, and best of luck tomorrow night.
Thank you.
There he goes. Kyle Hardee, head coach of Centerville Tigers. Join us here at Texas Football Today. I didn't realize that. He brought that up. You go back. So I knew he was an assistant. I knew he was from Centerville.
The 1999 stat?
The 1989 stat.
1989. Okay.
1989.
They did not score a point.
They were outscored 458-0.
Wow.
They're outscored 458-0. Now think about that. Think about, like, now give a lot of credit to Bill Hunter. He was the gentleman that he referenced who took over starting in 1990. 1993. So 4 years later, they're in the playoffs.
458-0, you said?
458-0.
Wow.
458-0. So they were losing every game by an average of 45-0.
I mean,
average game.
To get to the playoffs.
To go 4 years later to get to the playoffs, and then now you look at them, and 6 10-win seasons in the first in their last 10 seasons. That's impressive. I mean, they're a true blue. You count them as a team to be reckoned with every single year. You know, last year they made it to the regional final, and that's kind of the bar for them. The bar is to play deep in the playoffs, and a lot of reason that. I know you've been studying up because this is one of the spotlight games we've got for Valley Sports Southwest. I don't know if you watched film on this Paxton Hancock kid.
Unbelievable.
This kid.
He's the real deal. Like,
He's
I don't care what classification you're
show.
talking about. He is the real deal.
Freak show. It's going to be a lot of fun. Crawford and Centerville going on Friday night. We appreciate Kyle Hardee hopping on with us. We're Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Pickle, can we talk about the deliciousness of Takis?
Let's do it.
Takis is the presenting sponsor of the Sustainability Champions Award, spotlighting influential kids looking to pursue a career focused on the social, environmental, and economic well-being of our future. This week's spotlight game is the Flower Mound Marcus Marauders, taking on the Southlake Carroll Dragons, and we will be honoring spotlighting 2 Sustainability Champions Award winners, Andrew Hunt from Marcus and Molly Forst from Southlake Carroll. Thank you to Takis for your support of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Sustainability Champions Award. For more information, visit TexasFootball.com. You know, Pickle, we've been reading a lot about our friends at Athletes to Athletes, and you know, I've gotten so used to this read that I feel like I can do it by heart. I'm certainly not vamping while I find my read. I don't know what you're talking about.
Whoever could know.
Did you know that every high school athlete wants to play on the big stage, and every parent wants their child to be the best, but is making your target list of schools based on top 25 rankings really the best strategy? What about academics? What about coaching style? What about location? What about financial aid? There's so many different factors that need to be considered when selecting a college program outside of just how good the team is on the field. That's where our friends at Athletes have come in. They've put together a recruiting guide centered around providing a broader, more holistic perspective about what your college experience could be. It's got checklists, it's got do's and don'ts, it's got key strategies, and so much more. It's a 22-page guide covering everything you and your family should know as you walk through your college recruiting journey. And great news! For a limited time, Athletes is offering this guide to our audience for the low, low price of nothing. That's right. Free $99. Just go to athletes.com/Dave Campbell to download the free college recruiting guide. That's athletes.com/Dave Campbell. Or scan that QR code. Pickle! It's week 2 of the... I should probably change that. He's not on the phone anymore.
Hi, Kyle. Coach Hardee.
It's week 2 of the Texas high school football season. Huge games scattered everywhere. And only one person, only one man, has the courage. That's not true at all. A lot of people predict high school football games. I'm one of them. Here are my picks for week 2.
Mallory has the courage to edit it. That's it.
Here's my picks for week 2 of the Texas high school football season here on Texas Football Today.
We're off and running in the 2022 Texas high school football season. These are the picks. Welcome into the Picks, your guide to Texas high school football weekend. My name is Greg Tepper of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. Week 1's in the books, and what a week 1 it was. We had incredible churn in the rankings at Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com this week because of some stunners. We had teams that, thought might struggle out of the gates, and then others that were completely shocking to us, and some teams that really overachieved our expectations. But now we get another data point. We move into week 2 of the 2022 Texas high school football season with hundreds and hundreds of games scattered across the state. Was week 1 a fluke? Was week 1 the real thing? We're going to start to sort that out this week. Huge games everywhere you look. We start in Parker County. 7:30 p.m. Friday night at Bearcat Stadium in Alto. It is a showdown of state-ranked teams in 6A and 5A as the Denton Geyer Wildcats visit the Alto Bearcats. What are the keys to this matchup? Key number 1, Hey Arnold. Let's talk about Jackson Arnold, quarterback for Denton Geyer, who is pretty good. Pretty darn good. He's a Dave Campbell's Texas Football 6A cover boy in the magazine for a reason. He led Geyer to the state championship game last year, and if week 1 is any indication, he is on a revenge tour because he threw for 3 touchdowns, ran for another one, and looked ultra sharp in their demolition of Rockwall Heath. I mean, make no mistake, there's a lot of change there at Denton Geyer. New coach Reed Heim taking over. They've got a couple of pieces to replace here and there, but the most important piece is Jackson Arnold. As Jackson Arnold goes, so go the Wildcats. So, in a big showdown against a state-ranked squad, how does Jackson Arnold play? Key number 2, Alito's new identity. So, what exactly is Alito going to be this year? We didn't get a ton of answers in week 1 in their loss to Dallas Parish Episcopal, who, by the way, is the number 1 team in the private school ranks, so don't necessarily chalk that up as some sort of huge upset. But we don't really know exactly what this Alito team is going to look like offensively, and that's kind of a carryover from our concerns of the offseason. There's a lot of new pieces at the skill position spots. Quarterback House Haney looks like he's going to be the guy there. They've got a strong running back in Cap Mooney, a wide receiver in Jalen Pope. They've got playmakers that they like, but they haven't quite established an identity yet. Now, it's really early, right? We don't know exactly what this Alito team's going to look like because maybe they don't know exactly what they're going to look like. But now entering week 2, there's probably going to be some changes and see exactly what this offense can look like. So, in week 2, coming off of a loss, what does Alito look like? And key number 3, does week 1 matter? So, these two teams, as far as the results are concerned, couldn't be more polar opposite, right? For Denton Geyer, they looked fabulous in their win over Rockwall Heath. I mean, it was a dominant effort at every level. The defense, led by Eli Bowen, was fantastic. The offense, obviously, led by Jackson Arnold, was hitting on all cylinders. They looked terrific. They looked the part of a state championship contender. Alito scuffled. Now, again, they played Parish Episcopal. Great team. Excellent private school team, right? But they still only scored 3 points in the first half. and they were really kind of struggling to find out exactly what they were throughout it. Now, here's the great news about Texas high school football. That game doesn't matter. Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't affect Alito's ability to get to the playoffs. Doesn't affect their ability to win a state championship game. In fact, this game against a state-ranked 6A team doesn't impact their state championship hopes either. But they do have an opportunity to turn the page. And so what we're going to find out is exactly how much stock we should put into those week 1 results. Is that what Geyer looks like? Are they going to be this wrecking machine against everyone they see? Is that what Alito looks like? Are they going to struggle and scuffle, especially in the first half? Or are they both going to kind of meet more in the middle? So that's a real thing I'm watching on Friday night. How much does week 1 matter? Who am I picking? I'm going with Geyer. I got to go with the 6A team here, not only because they're bigger, but also because I think they've got the single individual best playmaker in Jackson Arnold. And the real secret here is I think their defense is going to be really good. Peyton Bone and Eli Bone in the secondary are going to be fantastic. They're really strong up front, going up against an Alito offense that may still be finding its way early. Now look, we've heard that Alito is going to make some changes, and the offense is going to probably start to hum a little bit more. But I do think that Geyer has to be your favorite in this game, even on the road. I think that the Wildcats bring home a victory. Let's go down to Houston, 6 o'clock Friday night at Legacy Stadium in Katy. It's a state-ranked 6A showdown between the humble Itasca Eagles and the Katy Tigers. What are the keys to this matchup? Key number 1, star power. So there are some games that I have to talk you into, right? I'm like, no. You may not have heard of anybody in this game, but I promise you it's a really fun game, and you're really going to like it, right? This is not one of those games. Just look at the top line, look at the headline, and you will be struck and say, okay, this is a game I can get into. On the Itasca side, you've got quarterback Zion Brown. I think this kid's a superstar. He's unbelievable back there at the quarterback spot, and I really think that he is starting to grow into the role even more. He looks like a bona fide star out there. Going up against Katy, and you're never going to believe it, but they've got a running back. Seth Spiller is back, and he was terrific in their Week 1 victory over Clear Falls, absolutely dominating, over 200 yards on the ground, which is, just light work for a Katy running back. This is a game chock full of star power on the offensive side. So, in a game with so many headliners, which headliner steps up most? Key number 2, the defensive fronts. So, this is a game where, in a lot of ways, because of the headliners, it's going to be easy to get caught up in, like, what's the quarterback doing? What's the running back doing? But I'm going to be paying really close attention to what happens up front on the defensive side, because these are 2 of the very best defensive fronts in the Houston area, and therefore 2 of the very best defensive fronts in the state. On the Katy side, they are a team that has a tradition of outstanding defenses, and this year is no different, led by their defensive end, Dallas Suliafu. This team looks like it's going to be outstanding defensively in the front 7 once again. Going up against this Itasca front, which really looks promising as well. Tamu Saumano Pepe, I got it the first time. He is the Texas A&M commit at the nose guard position. He is a load and a dominant force in the middle of that defense. So in a game that may be overshadowed by headliners, the defensive front is what I think is going to determine this game. Which of those defensive playmakers steps up? In key number 3, the Tigers lair. So Itasca made some headlines last year. You may remember they traveled up to Allen and they defeated Allen at Eagle Stadium for the first time in that stadium's existence. It was a real feather in the cap of Craig Stump's program and a real win for the Houston area, right? So now they've got to go and do something that may be even tougher right now, which is to beat Katy at home. Katy, since 2004, is 83-2. 83-2. They just don't lose at home. Whether they're playing at Road Stadium or Legacy Stadium, they are just locked and loaded when it comes to defending the home front. So, in a game with playmakers on every side, does home field advantage still hold the key for the Katy Tigers? Who am I picking? I'm going with Katy. I ain't picking against an 83-2 streak. That's one thing. The other thing is I really do think this looks like a vintage Katy team. What they've been able to do, the offensive line looks like it's going to be once again a force. They've got a running back there in Seth Spiller at Belcow. I think their defense is going to be very strong. Even with some young pieces that they've plugged in, they've already shown a lot of promise. For Itasca, this comes down to Zion Brown and his ability to make a couple of big plays and the defense to come up with probably 2 turnovers in this game. I think this game figures to be close, and I think it's going to be one of the best games of the week, but I do think that Katy holds serve at home, giving the Tigers. Let's go down San Antonio way. 7:30 p.m. Friday night at Lenoff Stadium in Cibolo. It is a state-ranked 6A matchup between the Cibolo Steel Knights and the Lake Travis Cavaliers. What a start to the season for Cibolo Steel, huh? The Knights get a thrilling win over San Antonio Brennan in the KSAT Classic there at the Alamo Dome as Chad Warner throws a touchdown pass in the final seconds to get the win. Impressive stuff. And by the way, Jaden Bailey, their running back, was outstanding in this game as well. Steel looks like the real stinking deal. Was that too corny? Nah, we'll keep going. Anyway, Lake Travis, on the other hand, struggled in their opener against Arlington Martin. Now, look, Bo Edmondson didn't play in that game, the starting quarterback. He is not expected to play this week either, still nursing a back injury. Didn't really matter because Nico Hamilton, their running back, was really fantastic. But the big difference for me is that Lake Travis gave up 300-plus yards on the ground. That is not a good sign now that they got to go on the road and take on a humming and brimming with confidence Cibolo Steel team. Now, look, Lake Travis and Westlake, the two kind of dominant powers in the Austin area, have absolutely clobbered San Antonio over the past decade. But I think right now, Steel's the better team. Give me the Knights. Let's go to the small school rank. 7 o'clock Friday night at Hawk Stadium in Wall. It is a really interesting matchup between the Cisco Lobos and the Wall Hawks. Ho-hum, Cisco's doing what Cisco does. They looked fantastic in their opener as quarterback Hunter Long, once again back for what feels like his 30th year of eligibility. Anyway, he is in complete command of this offense for the Big Damn Lobos. They looked fantastic there in week 1. Going up against a Wall team that you remember last year was a bit of a disappointment for them. Went 5-5, not up to the standards there at Wall, but they hit the ground running in week 1. As Garrett Guy, the quarterback, led a rushing attack that rang up 533 yards on the ground. Okay, Wall, I see you. Now remember, this game last year was really intriguing. Even though Wall kind of struggled down the stretch, this was a double overtime win for Cisco, and that's why I think it's going to be really fun. I think this game is close and goes back and forth. I still think Cisco wins this game, but we're going to find out a lot more about how far Wall has come. And 7 o'clock Thursday night at Larry Ward Stadium in Bridge City, it's the Orange Bowl, pitting the Little Cypress Mauriceville Bears against their rival, the West Orange Shark Mustangs. And this game is being played at Bridge City because it's supposed to be played at Little Cypress Mauriceville. Their stadium is still under construction, so they're moving it to Bridge City. So we get a neutral site Thursday clash that's going to be a lot of fun. So Little Cypress Mauriceville was absolutely dominant in their win over Hardin-Jefferson in week 1. They didn't allow the Hawks to cross midfield until the 4th quarter. That's impressive with defensive end Amir Washington. Going up against this West Orange Shark team that looked the part of a state championship contender in their opening week win. Jamal Shaw is their superstar do-it-all athlete on both sides of the ball, the name to know. I love the coaching matchup in this one as well. Eric Peavy, of course, who was there at Little Cypress Mauriceville, sparked one of the great turnarounds last year, taking on Hiawatha Hickman on the West Orange Shark side, who's 1-0, by the way, and taking over for Cornell Thompson, and obviously big things brewing there at West Orange Shark. I think this game's fabulous. I think it's going to be really interesting, come down to the wire, but I do think that West Orange Shark gets a narrow win. But those are far from the only big games in week 2 of the Texas high school football season. Let's get to the lightning round. I'm going to take Burton over Hearn, give me Columbus to take down LaGrange, and Liberty Hill in a close one over Hutto. I like Corpus Christi Miller to beat El Campo, give me Toller to beat Early, and it's the crosstown showdown in the big country. I like Abilene over Abilene Cooper. I'm going to take Edna to beat Bay City, give me Navasota over Madisonville, and how about a top 5 matchup in 5A Division II? I'm going with Lovejoy over Argyle. Give me El Paso Parkland to beat El Paso Austin. Malakoff and Grandview are going to play for the 8th time since 2018. Yeah, I like Malakoff in a close one. Meanwhile, Longview and Marshall are going to play for the 112th time. Give me the Lobos. I'm going with Poteet over Goliad. Spring Westfield survives a scare from Fort Bend Hightower. And Allen beats Sheldon C.E. King, but keep an eye on this one because I think this has big upset potential. Give me Price Carlisle to take down Troop. I'm going to go with Mission Veterans Memorial over McAllen Memorial. And the Rebs are back, baby. I like Midland Legacy over Amarillo Tascosa. I like Farwell over Vega, Wichita Falls Hershey over Brock in a very interesting Thursday night affair, and Edinburgh Vela beats rival Edinburgh. I like Lindsay over Seymour, Austin Westlake takes down Converse Judson, and Idalou beats New Deal. Crawford beats Centerville in a big-time Central Texas clash, and in our 6-man game of the week, boy, it's a good one. I like Westbrook, just barely over Jonesboro. And those are the picks. What am I wrong about? Which games did I leave out? Do you like my shirt? Leave comments down below. Don't forget that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com, where you can find complete coverage of the 2022 Texas high school football season at texasfootball.com. Thanks for watching. Enjoy week 2 of the 2022 Texas high school football season. We'll see you. Are you not going to run the intro?
Oh, I thought last time you threw to the intro. I'm
No.
sorry.
I say we should start with cold open with the intro.
All right, well, I'm just going to roll the intro now then. Keep your mouth shh.
Craven Bets. It's our weekly talk with our financial advisor and college football insider, Mike Craven, here in Craven's Corner, because on this corner,
we make money.
That's right. Welcome in. And finally, last week we had a taste, but and I'm not even going to count you didn't even make an official pick on the UTEP versus North Texas game.
I took UTEP. I took the under though, so
Yeah.
I feel like I went 1-1 out there. I think we need to get this out of the way. Nobody knows nothing yet.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like if you're thinking about gambling this week, I would put a very low amount of money because we need some data, especially with the transfer portal and how everything's crazy. Like we normally don't know anything in week 1. We really don't know anything.
So don't bet your
in week
house,
1.
is
right.
what we're saying.
Yes. Yeah. Ease into it.
Yeah, there's a couple of teams, especially in the state of Texas, that I'm looking at, and I just think, look, we've spent the past 6 months doing nothing but studying these teams, and yet TCU could go out there on Saturday and look like legit the best team in the country, and I'd be like, yeah, I guess that's a thing that could happen,
And they could lose by a touchdown and be like, oh, okay, well,
Yeah.
let's see that coming too.
Yeah, it's so whatever your units are, dial them back a little bit this week. Next week, that's when we will turn it up. But it's Craven Bets. We're going to go through Mike Craven's best bets for the weekend in the Texas college football world, starting with.
Let's go, actually not to San Marcos. I believe this is a road game. So we're heading to Nevada on the first one. Nevada over Texas State.
This is a pick'em game.
It was pick'em. It's grown to Nevada -1 as of this morning. But when this came out, I did a double take. Because when you think of Nevada, you think of Jay Norvell's Nevada, and that's a good G5 program, one that Texas State is usually an underdog to. So when that came out as a pick'em, it was pretty alarming. I think it has to do with their Week 0 win over New Mexico State. They weren't very good. Shane Illingsworth, I think, threw for 51 yards or something like that. So they weren't very good against New Mexico State. I still don't trust Texas State, though. I need to see it happen before I trust it with Lane Hatcher. And I think playing in Week 0 helps Nevada. They kind of get the stinker out of the way. They kind of get to iron some stuff out. They see some stuff on film that they can figure out this week. I think they play a lot better. They beat Texas.
Well, and it's on the road. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that should lean towards Nevada in this one. And I think you're right, especially new quarterback there for Texas State. We don't know what they're going to look like. But this is another team that, because they're so heavy in the transfer portal, they could come out looking like $1 million on Saturday, and it'd be like, yeah, okay, that's not necessarily super shocking.
Right. This is a bet against Texas State's history,
Yeah.
really. They don't beat good G5 teams, especially early in the year out of conference. And so until they do that, if I'm forced to put $10 down, I'm leaning Nevada.
Is there so there's steam on Nevada? They're moving. They've moved from pick'em to -1. Is there where's your line that you would you'd
really hammer it?
or you'd stay away, or you'd maybe flip it or stay away from this game?
I think if it got to -3,
Yeah.
if it got to about a field goal, I'd probably stay away. Again, I'm staying away from a lot of this stuff in Week 1 just because I have like you said, Texas State could win by 14. I'm not shocked. Lane Hatcher throws 300 yards. I'm not surprised. But I think the most likely scenario is this kind of an ugly 24-21 game, Nevada at home.
Okay. What's next, Pickle?
Up next, we head down to the 2-1-0, where you will actually be at this game. Houston favored by 4 over UTSA. You're taking it.
Reigning the conference championship defense begins for UTSA, and you're just going to short them.
I am going to short them. At home, I just think this Houston team's really, really good. This is more about my belief that Houston can legitimately go 12-0 than UTSA is going to take a major step back. I think UTSA is going to win Conference USA. But Conference USA is not very good. That's why they lose all the bowl games. North Texas, UTSA, they show up to bowl games and they get beat because that conference isn't very good. Houston's a Big 12 roster already. That's a Power 5 team. They're playing for a lot this year. They had a disappointing Week 1 last year against Texas Tech. I think they come out and play really well, and their size and speed's just too much in the second half.
I tend to agree. I think that this could be one of those games that's really tight at halftime, and then Houston kind of wins by a touchdown late, or, in the fourth quarter, kind of pulls away, something like that. Because to me, I think that you're right. This is, for Dana Holgorsen, he's probably going to be in there saying, guys, it's all out there in front of us, but this is one of those games that if we don't come out sharp, we can absolutely ruin our season, basically. And furthermore, let's not forget that last year they opened the season on the road. Well, technically, it's in NRG Stadium against Texas Tech, and that ended up kind of being the egg that they laid all season.
Yeah. I mean, I think that will help them this year. Like they were up at halftime in that game and then lost it, a game that they were supposed to win. UTSA is good. I think they're going to win conference again, but that defense has to grow into itself. They lost Clarence Hicks. They lost a couple defensive linemen. They're going to have to figure that out. Playing Houston right away is not a great way to figure that out. They struggled in the secondary last year. Clayton Tune, Nathaniel Dell, and an improved wide receiver core. It's a tough matchup for UTSA. I'd hammer the over, and I think Houston wins this one in the second half by a touchdown or so.
What's next, Pickle?
We go to Oklahoma, where the UTEP Miners will be visiting. The over-under is set at 56. Craven Beth is taking the over.
I can't help but feel like this is about Oklahoma's offense.
Oh yeah, this is like 59-7. Take the over, right?
Yeah.
Shocking.
Maybe this is recency bias just from being El Paso. That UTEP team's not ready for this. Like they couldn't get pressure against North Texas. They're not going to get pressure against Oklahoma.
Yeah.
They couldn't win over the top against North Texas in the second half. They're probably not going to win over the top against Oklahoma, right? Like Brent Venerables, I don't know what the talent is at Oklahoma. I'm assuming it's really, really good. But he's an excellent defensive mind. Like, they're going to get back there. They're going to win. I think they score some defensive points. They may score some special teams points. And you really only need UTEP to carry about 10 points. If, UTEP can get 10 points, I think Oklahoma gets 49. They're going to want to make an example. They're going to want to come out game one of the Venerables era and kind of put the Lincoln Riley era behind them and be like, hey, this is the football team that we are. I expect Oklahoma to play really, really well.
Yeah, to me, that's the number I have is somewhere between 10 and 14 points. And some of them may be garbage time. Garbage time may be your friend here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If Oklahoma goes up, 42-0, and then they call off the dogs, and UTEP kind of scores a couple touchdowns late, that could be your best friend when hanging the over.
Like you said, with how chirpy the OU fan base has been as of recent, Venables is going, no, we're not stopping at 30 points.
He's going to pour it on. He's going to pour it on because especially the knock on him there is like, oh, well, does he know anything about offense? It's like he's going to try to prove. I think he's going to try to prove.
And UTEP is a vertical passing team, right? And it only takes one or two blown coverages, and all of a sudden UTEP scored 10, 14, 17 trash points that Oklahoma wouldn't allow in a couple weeks once they get all that communication figured out. I feel like they'll break a few coverages. UTEP will score some points, and Oklahoma will really put it on them.
I think we're at one more investment. Is that right, Pickle?
We sure do. Let's head to Denton, America. SMU favored by 11, taking on the North Texas Mean Green. Craven is taking the over. I really thought about messing with this graphic again, but it was too big of a spread.
Now wait, you're taking minus SMU.
Yeah, I'm taking SMU
minus 11. Okay, got it.
I think this is like a 14.5, 15-point spread if North Texas doesn't dominate the second half last week. Like, I was there. It was 14-13 at halftime.
Yeah.
North Texas got stopped their first drive of the third quarter. There was a late penalty on a personal foul that continued that drive, and then it snowballed. Like, it's not like North Texas went out there and just dominated UTEP. You know, like they should have been down 17-0 in the first quarter if UTEP doesn't miss a field goal and doesn't get stopped on the 1-yard line on 4th and goal, right? So I'm still not a huge believer of North Texas. They're going to have to do it against a team other than UTEP. Like I put out the stat yesterday in Republic of Football. You know, Austin Auni's played 26 games. He's thrown 24 touchdowns. 24 games, he's thrown 26 touchdowns. 9 of them against UTEP, right? So, we're going to have to take the UTEP game and put it in a separate category when we're talking about North Texas. To me, this is kind of the prove it game. If they, play this game close or win it, like North Texas is a legit Conference USA contender. I just think Rhett Lashley and that SMU offense is just going to be too much for what we normally see from the North Texas offense.
Well, that to me is you look at like the offense that North Texas played last week against UTEP. That is an offense that has some weapons, but this is a souped-up version of that same offense. That they're going to be better at every position than UTEP was last week. And, North Texas at times, they give up like 180 yards in the first quarter, stuff like that.
I mean, that passing game last year, it was Austin Aune threw 9 touchdowns all of 2021. He threw 3 last week. I just don't see them coming out and putting up 31 points, and And if they only manage 17 to 20 points, like I absolutely believe SMU is putting up 34 to 42. Like that's going to be Tanner Mordecai's back. That wide receiver room is really good. Kamar Wheaton's there now as a running back. Like that offense is going to put up points. I don't know what the SMU defense is, but I know the offense is going to put up points. I would lean towards SMU minus 11 because I think that line is reflective of what happened last week and not necessarily what is reflective of what we thought those teams would be.
You brought it up with Nevada too. I am genuinely interested to see how playing in week 0, like if they look smoother in the first half or not, like how much, and that you can't really measure that by any sort of stats, but how much different does the first half look for North Texas, knowing that they have 2 full halves of football underneath their belt?
Sure, and then on the flip side, does that help SMU to have some film? Mm-hmm. You know, like North Texas has no film of SMU and what that defense is going to look like. What
brand new head coach.
You know, right.
Yeah.
And so, that's why I say kind of be cautious this week because you just don't know. Like, is North Texas playing last week? Do they come out and just get on top, like 17-3 early on as SMU figures it out and gets their legs underneath them? Does SMU have a better game plan this week than they would have had they not seen them play UTEP last week? So I just think there's so many unanswered questions that this week is kind of like a wait-and-see approach to gambling in a way that maybe it usually isn't.
That's right. Mike Craven, your financial advisor, says be conservative in week 1. Here in Craven's Corner, because on this corner,
we make money.
Let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts.
A reminder, at 2 o'clock, we will be having WTF, Women Talking Football. We are going over the Golden Triangle area, so tune in.
All right.
Join Mallory and I.
It's 2 o'clock, wherever you're watching this show right now. It's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Thanks to Centerville head coach Kyle Hardee and college football insider Mike Craven for being our guests. That's the first time you guys have ever been booked on the same show. I looked that up. I was like, boy, have you guys ever been on the same show, Kyle Hardee and you?
That's just a shocking development.
For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please get your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you tomorrow for Helpful Honda Mailback Friday on Texas Football Today.